July 25, 2024. El Mayo, the legendary cartel mediator, is taken down. Within weeks, Sinaloa's murder rate explodes by 400%. Entire communities vanish behind locked doors, and children turn into casualties on their own streets. Sinaloa is bleeding. The brutal aftermath of El Mayo's fall isn't just a headline. It's a reality where warlords carve up the state while the government scrambles to respond. Are we witnessing the moment cartel violence becomes the new normal? Or is there still a way out before the region is lost for good? The peace didn't just break. It was shattered. So how did one capture trigger all-out chaos? July 25, 2024, brought a rupture few inside Sinaloa believed possible. Ismael El Mayo Zambada, long the cartel's invisible hand, was seized in what he would later call a betrayal by his own godson, Joaquin Guzman Lopez. The operation unfolded quietly. Zambada, lured to mediate a political dispute, was instead forced onto a private plane and flown out of Mexico. With the 76-year-old capo suddenly gone, the Sinaloa cartel lost its only functioning mediator. For decades, El Mayo had balanced rivalries between Los Chapitos and his own loyalists, keeping the federation from tearing itself apart. His removal left no one above the factions. Within days, messages circulated, some loyalists blaming Los Chapitos for the kidnapping, others demanding retribution. In the absence of Zambada's authority, old codes collapsed. Every territory, every trafficking route became a fresh battleground, as commanders who once answered to a single voice now answered only to themselves. On September 9, 2024, the first shots of Sinaloa's new war echoed through Culiacan. In the 6 months that followed, the state recorded 883 homicides, nearly 4 times the toll from the same period a year earlier. The surge was not a single outburst, but a relentless campaign of ambushes, executions, and disappearances. Los Chapitos, led by the sons of El Chapo Guzman, mobilized convoys of gunmen to defend their turf against La Mayiza, the loyalists to El Mayo Zambada, now commanded by his son, Mayito Flaco. Every neighborhood, from the city's industrial parks to the rural edges, became a potential front line. Commanders who once enforced cartel discipline now fought for their own survival, turning former alliances into open hostilities. The violence swept up not only rival gunmen, but families, shopkeepers, and bystanders, each new killing a warning, each disappearance a message. With 883 dead by March, Sinaloa's streets offered no refuge and no neutrality. Gael and Alexander Sarmiento, ages 9 and 12, were riding with their father through the Los Angeles neighborhood in Culiacan when armed men opened fire, killing all 3. The attack left 2 other children wounded, and by morning, another family had vanished from the city's fragile sense of safety. In the days that followed, classmates at Socrates Elementary School marched in silence, carrying signs that read, "I want to live, not survive." Nearly 100 children have disappeared across Sinaloa since September. The violence has forced schools to rehearse lockdown drills as routinely as fire alarms. Teachers now brief students on what to do if gunfire erupts nearby. Stay low, stay quiet, wait for a parent who might not come. With more than 1,500 disappearances reported since the cartel war reignited, families weigh each decision: walking to school, opening the shop, stepping outside, as a calculation of risk. Childhood in Sinaloa has become a lesson in survival, learned in whispers and unfinished goodbyes. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador entered office promising a new approach: abrazos, no balazos, or hugs, not bullets, betting that social investment could undercut cartel recruitment. But by the end of his term, Mexico had recorded nearly 200,000 homicides, the highest tally for any administration in modern history. The promise of restraint gave way to a harsher reality as violence surged across Sinaloa. Claudia Sheinbaum, inheriting the crisis in October 2024, announced a shift. Her security plan rested on 4 pillars: poverty reduction, a consolidated National Guard, intelligence-driven policing, and tighter federal-state coordination. Scheinbaum's team reported a 15% drop in homicides during her first 4 months, yet disappearances and kidnappings continued to climb. Calls for U.S. military intervention were flatly rejected. Scheinbaum insisted that Mexico would fight organized crime on its own terms, with no foreign boots on the ground. The new strategy faced an old problem: criminal networks embedded deep within the state, adapting faster than any policy pivot could. Cartel rule in Sinaloa stretches well beyond trafficking and violence. In neighborhoods where police patrols are rare, cartel operatives collect protection payments from businesses, settle disputes, and even organize community events. Residents pay a monthly quota not just to avoid trouble, but to guarantee that stolen cars are returned, kidnappings are investigated, and local festivals go on as planned. Security comes in the form of armed convoys, but also in quick responses to robberies or domestic conflicts, services that, on paper, belong to the state. In these districts, the line between government and criminal authority blurs. The cartel's tax collectors and enforcers operate openly, their presence a daily reminder that order, in Sinaloa, is often maintained by men outside the law. Genaro Garcia Luna, once Mexico's top law enforcement official, was convicted in a U.S. court in 2023 for accepting millions in bribes from the Sinaloa cartel. His trial exposed how cartel protection ran through every level of police, with officers acting as bodyguards and escorts for traffickers. In September 2024, the Mexican army disarmed more than 1,000 culiacan police officers, pulling the entire force off the streets for permit checks. An extraordinary move that revealed just how deeply criminal networks had infiltrated local law enforcement. For nearly a month, soldiers and federal police replaced the city's own officers, underscoring a crisis where the state's own security apparatus could no longer be trusted to police itself. After El Mayo's arrest on July 25, 2024, Sinaloa's homicide rate surged by 400%, rising from 224 to 883 killings in just 3 months. The fall of a single figure fractured cartel lines, fueling a war between Los Chapitos and La Mayiza, and placing civilians in the crossfire. Children like Gael and Alexander became victims. Over 1,500 people disappeared in the chaos. Despite a shift from AMLO's hugs not bullets approach to a tougher national stance, cartel power proved resilient. The 2023 conviction of Genaro Garcia Luna and the disarmament of Culiacan's police exposed how criminal networks infiltrate state institutions. Yet, full details of official complicity remain classified, and the fate of many victims is still unknown. Today, Mexico's strategy relies on domestic forces and institutional reform, but the outcome is uncertain. The record shows tactical victories alone cannot restore peace. Without rebuilding institutions people trust, violence simply moves. It does not end.